Peter Mathews, who's a professor of political science at Cypress College. He's also running for a seat in the upcoming elections for Democrats in March. He joins us now live from Los Angeles. Peter, really appreciate you being with us. You know, today's hearings really gave us the perspective from inside the White House, accounts from those who actually heard the call. What are your key takeaways from today's testimonies?
Very convincing when we heard Lieutenant Colonel Vindman and the National Security Advisor. He's part of that the team on the NSC, and also Jennifer Williams, who was Vice President Pence's advisor. These key people and a couple others who came out and said that, it looks, especially Vindman, that it looks like there was, attempts on the part of the president to leverage the meeting, with President Zelensky by using the request for an investigation on Joe Biden. There seems to be established a connection there with someone as credible as Vindman. So the question will arise as to whether or not there was a quid pro quo or not. That would be unconstitutional and grounds for high crimes and misdemeanors possibly. So I think these witnesses were very credible. Not all of them were exactly on the same page, but they were worth listening to. And it's going to be moving forward, I'm sure.
The administration's defense strategy has largely been to say that ultimately there was no investigation into the Bidens and that the aid eventually was released. Do either of those facts impact the argument to impeach the president because there was no pro in the quid pro quo, or quo rather?
Well, the key word is attempted. Even if there were an attempt to do that, that would be considered to be illegal. And so there clearly seemed to be an attempt to do it because while there was no direct quid pro quo, the president implied that if he were to get a meeting with the other president and to do the other thing, release the $400 million or so in military aid, then they could play ball. There was implication there. And so that's what the Democrats are saying. It is their position on it. And I think that ultimately impeachment is basically a political act. And the Constitution allows the U.S. House to determine whether or not any kind of untoward activity rose to high crimes or misdemeanors. And by the way, it's not a criminal act as such. It's not like going and robbing a bank. This has to do with a mistrust of the public trust itself, the avoiding the president's oath of office or violating it in any sense. Those kinds of high crimes, it's not something like a low crime like a bank robbery. So it's up to the Congress to decide that, and they will decide. In my prediction, I believe the president will be impeached probably sometime in December.
Jennifer Williams, an advisor to the vice president, testified that she believed Trump's request was political in nature because Biden is a political opponent of the president. Could that be considered circumstantial evidence at this point?
In a regular court of law, that might be considered circumstantial evidence. But like I said, this deal of the Constitution of the wording, president can be impeached for treason, bribery, and high crimes or misdemeanors. It's very interesting to look at the supporting written articles by the founders who wrote the Constitution, where they actually come out and imply that it's not a regular crime, and so a circumstantial evidence could also be considered a violation of the public trust, especially since he very clearly implied to the president of Ukraine that if he would play ball and go ahead and do the investigation, that he would be able to receive the money. And the money was released, by the way, once it became public that it was going to be released. There was a threat of it becoming public. Then the president released the money, yes, but it wasn't released, automatically with any kind of caveats. That's the problem.
All right. Peter Mathews, really appreciate you being with us. Thanks for that.